This is one of the most excited fights I've ever had. Like I've been excited for so many fights, but this is in the top 5 greatest of all time fights coming up. If DDP wins this fight, guys, if DDP wins this fight, which is possible because guys, my official pick is Khamzat Chimaev. Okay. But if DDP wins this fight, he's going to be the greatest middleweight of all time. If anybody ever asks me who's the greatest middleweight of all time and DDP wins this fight, I'll be like, oh, DDP, easy. What about Anderson Silva? Yeah, Anderson Silva is really, he was a great champion. Maybe second greatest of all time. But without a doubt, I would say head and shoulders above is DDP. What about Adesanya? Well, he beat Adesanya. This will make him, solidify him as the greatest middleweight of all time, and he's going to be in the GOAT discussion. We're going to be talking about the GOAT. We're going to talk about GOATs, and some people are going to bring up DDP now. If he wins, if he beats Khamzat Chimaev. Now, if Khamzat Chimaev wins, I'm going to come out and say, look, he's not the GOAT yet. He's not the greatest middleweight of all time yet, but who could stop him? I mean, if he beats DDP, who can stop him? It's going to be a tough fight for anybody. Khamzat Chimaev is coming, friends. DDP. I saw a video of them meeting, saying hello to each other, and you could see that Khamzat is just towering over him. Guys, I've met Khamzat a few times, okay? I'm telling you, I know they list him as 6'2". I don't know what it is, but he's a towering figure. He's like a tower. I don't know what it is about him. His shoulders, the length of his arms is just incredible. What a athlete. What a specimen. And I thought DDP was going to be a little bit bigger, because DDP's got that like gorilla thickness. But to me, it seemed like Chimaev was a little bit bigger than I thought he was going to be compared to DDP. Again, that doesn't mean much. I'm not trying to say it's going to mean anything in the fight. All I'm trying to say is, wow, man, I can't wait for this fight. Guys, this podcast wasn't supposed to be about this fight because the last podcast I did about this fight, I just got fired up because I'm listening to Khamzat Chimaev he promised the whole world. Testing. Okay. He promised the whole world he's going to kill everybody. All right, guys, I'm opening up to ask me anything. If DDP wins, his resume is better than Ilya's. Tuxedo Miles, that's a tough one. That's a tough one. It's hard to say. It's hard to say because Ilya beat both Max Holloway and Alexander Volkanovski in the same calendar year, guys. In the same calendar year. And he finished them both. I would... No. And you also have Ilya going up a weight class and winning. You can't say his resume is better than Ilya Topuria. I wouldn't say that. No. I would still say Ilya's resume is tighter. However, it's just something special to beat Khamzat because Khamzat is arguably like the toughest guy to figure out. You got to take him in later rounds, but it's just how ferocious he's finishing. He shoots, he scores a takedown over and over again. I think Gilbert kind of gave him some resistance and defended one takedown. I'm not even remembering, but his success rate on takedowns, his finishing rate is ridiculous. It's just ridiculous. I mean, he took down Usman several times. He took him down in round 1 quite easily. Very impressive. How much does the coach impact the fighter? That's from Salid. Very much so. Of course. Look, guys, you see DDP's coach. He's mouthing off. He's like, oh, it's an easy fight for DDP. Khamzat is no good. He's one-dimensional. He's talking like Khamzat is an easy fight. Is he insane? Are you insane? This is going to be a hard fight, guys. This is going to be a hard fight for both individuals. I find DDP's coach a little bit out of touch with what's going on here. Maybe he's just trying to hype up DDP because DDP is saying it. DDP is like, look, this is a hard fight, man. This is a dangerous fight. I want to fight the most dangerous guys. But his coach is like, nah, Khamzat, he has nothing. He's got nothing. He brings nothing to the table. He can't bring nothing. All he does is one-dimensional wrestling. Oh, he's not going to be good enough. Like, he's just putting Khamzat down, man. I find that's pretty crazy. Well, I'll tell you. I like one thing about DDP's coach is the way he tases DDP when DDP makes errors. You can't really do that kind of stuff anymore. When we used to train, my trainer used to hit us with a stick. Not John Danaher. I'm a black belt under John Danaher. He was also very harsh as well in the practice room. But Master Peter, Muay Thai master, my Muay Thai trainer, Very harsh, very harsh. And, I've played some videos of him and all that. He was a very harsh man, very heavy-handed man. If you dropped your hands in sparring, if you made an error, he would club you with his hand, open hand, or he would hit you with a stick. He would walk around with a Cali stick. But if you train people like that today, people will quit, people will sue you, people will, file lawsuits. It's just not the same era. Us, we would just take it, we would shut up about it, and we would just not make a mistake again. And I like the fact that DDP is that kind of student. He's not fazed by the fact that his trainer's tasing him. Now, I don't recommend those kind of things because most times trainers will do more harm than good. They'll end up abusing their student, hurting their student, injuring their student, going to an extreme. The coach might be incompetent and thinks he knows what's right, but he's actually not really on the mat. He doesn't know what he's doing. He's not a skilled guy, so that he's telling his student what he wants him to do. Something maybe the coach saw in a video that's not really suitable for the student's skill level or body type, and he's trying to force it on his student, and maybe he's in the wrong. But if you have a really experienced trainer who knows what he's doing, who won't cross the line of abuse, he won't cross the line of injuring his student, he won't cross that line, he won't do anything too extreme, that could be a really big benefit because you get a lot more out of your athletes. Okay, now I don't recommend it because it's too dangerous. But I will tell you, I was trained that way. And even in grappling, John Denahar was very strict. If you didn't do things right, he would let you know. And he wasn't nice about it. He would put you down. And nowadays, he's a lot more relaxed and he's a lot more patient. But when we were younger, he was rough, man. Our trainer was rough, and I like it like that. I was never taking it personal. Because after practice, everything would be cool. We go to dinner and hang out and chat and laugh, and everything was cool. But in the practice room, everything had to be done right. And I'm like that too as well. In the practice room, everything's got to be done right. Sometimes I stop to the students and I tell them off, because they're seasoned to a certain degree, especially the purple belts. I tell them, if you're a purple belt, that's it. There's no more, I don't take it easy on you anymore. Now you got to be disciplined. You got to get things right. When I talk to you, you got to understand. You can't pretend like, like today, one of my students, I was telling him, put in a wizard, and he didn't know what it was. He wasn't sure. He was like, what do you mean? Where does my arm go? And I told him straight up, I said, listen, if I ask you to put on a wizard and you don't know, I have to take back your blue belt. He's just at blue belt level, but I'm telling you, at blue belt, you know what a wizard is. And he's like, oh, you're right, coach. What was I thinking? I'm not talking a foreign language to you. You've been training with me for 3 years, whatever it is. If I tell you put a wizard in, you should know exactly what it is. Focus on, get serious here, And I like that kind of trainer. He has a standard, and he's ready to tase you to maintain a standard. But again, I don't recommend it for 99% of coaches out there. They're going to do more harm than good with that kind of approach. John Denahar used to hit you and GSP with sticks. Looks like it worked. That's from Real Skip. No Real Skip. That was Muay Thai Master. I had Muay Thai Master in the gym. He was wild. It was crazy. He was a wild man, and he died a few years ago. It was a really painful event for me and everybody at the gym, of course. We loved him dearly, but man, was he a disciplinarian. Man, was he rough. John Denahar was more verbal. He was more verbal. He'll catch you with the words, but and he was also very generous with the words sometimes. Sometimes he make you feel so good, like you're a genius. You're you're on your way to success, and then some days he'll cut you down and be like, hey man, you really didn't do what you're supposed to do, and you've been taught this several times. Wake up, and you'd be like, oh man, I let him down. I can't let that happen again. And I think most students will respond positively because they know their trainer cares. But if you don't have a good relationship with your student and you cut them down with words, you're gonna destroy that relationship. You got to make sure that student he knows you're as dedicated to his career as he is, and more. Sometimes I find I'm more dedicated to my students' career than they are. I spend more time and energy than they do, on their wins, on their success, on their potential fights, or wins or whatnot. So, I think it takes two. You have to have a very dedicated student. You have to have a very dedicated trainer, and the two together, two very dedicated people together working together can get really far. Guys, don't forget to check out jujiclub.com. Use summer 50 off and get 50% off anything at jujiclub.com. I just released Powerful Guard Retention 1 and Powerful Guard Retention 2. Volume 1 is for when you're on your back. Volume 2 is for when you're seated. In Volume 2, guys, I cover Yoko Sumigeshi. A lot of you have asked me about Yoko Sumigeshi. It's an advanced guard retention technique system. It's super, super powerful. All the guys at TriStar, John Denahar guys, they all do it. It's super powerful. If somebody passes your guard, you can recoup the guard with a Yokosumigeshi. Check it out. It is a little bit more advanced, and it does take some practice, but it's a very powerful attack, and it will get you out of trouble when you need it. Okay, guys, what else we got here? Do you think GSP can take down Khamzat? That's from Tommy Yang. Well, I think Khamzat and George would take each other down. Both of them in their prime. I think both of them would get takedowns in. Bring back the stick. That's from Larry Bird. Larry Bird, I agree with you, man. But in Canada, man, I wish I could walk in the practice room with a stick. Oh, man. But, in Canada, they're going to call the police. They're going to file a report. You're going to end up in bracelets. Coach, enjoy coffee on me. All the best from NZ. Oh, thank you very much. Jimmy Earl, you're a gentleman and a scholar, sir. Thank you very much for a generous coffee. Thank you very much. You factored in inflation. I like that about you. Leroy, salam, coach. I feel like there are some moves I use in wrestling that don't work very well when we're sweaty. Example, Russian tie, arm drag. What are some of your go-to moves to use when your opponent is slippery? That's from Leroy. Leroy, I'll tell you something. I'm a big believer in slap down. Excuse me, did I say slap down? I meant snap down. Snap down, underhook, body lock, double leg when it's slippery. Okay, when things are sweaty, I don't do 2-on-1. I do some 2-on-1. I'm not a 2-on-1 lover. I don't do a lot of collar tie. I believe in collar tie, sure. I do some collar tie to get into my snap downs, but I'm a big believer in snap down, underhook, the body lock, and I shoot doubles. Okay, now when I shoot doubles, I try to turn the corner. And I'm a big believer in single leg. But if things get very sweaty, I stop maybe going for the single leg too much. Now, I'm a big believer in single leg. You got to have a great single leg, okay? Because you can't just do double leg. But you got to have, in my opinion, the king of all takedowns, the king of all takedowns, double leg. But second most important is single leg. Sometimes the double leg is not accessible. You got to get to the single, work the single, off-balance him to get to the double, okay? Now, I was just watching Khamzat Chimaev versus Usman, okay? He grabs a single. Things were dry. It was round 1, okay? Round 3, what does he do? Double leg. Why? Because sweaty. He's a little bit tired. He has to time it now, okay? But round 1, things are dry. The single leg can be more sensible. Now, can you get a single leg in the third round? Of course you can. But sometimes things are sweaty, and you're like, let me shift to a double. And it was brilliant, okay? But what you saw when he had round 1, he grabbed that single leg, he tried to dump Usman. Usman resisted the dump. He lifted it up above his hip and tripped him. I show that exact sequence. I just released a roll narration. Check out my last roll narration. And I do the same thing. I'm doing single leg with one of the pros. I run the pipe. He resists it. I hike it up. Then I try to hike it up. He resists it. I run the pipe. Or run the pipe is also, you can call it a dump. That's one of the most important things I've ever learned in single leg. It's one of the most important. I cover it in Single Leg Made Easy. Check out my Single Leg Made Easy. I have single leg defense and single leg attack. Make sure to pick up those videos. I've trained with so many wrestling coaches, and so few understood this dynamic. If the guy you're wrestling with a single leg, he's putting weight on the leg, dump him. If he resists the dump by lightening up his leg, by making his leg light, by shifting his weight to the standing leg, hike it up. That's a dilemma that's so hard to get past. When things are dry and the leg's not slippery, that's a surefire, very reliable combination that works, I would tell you, incredibly. And you see the guys at the highest level like Khamzat Chimaev are doing it. If you understand this dilemma, you will master single leg. It's quite incredible. So I really feel a lot of wrestling coaches know moves, but they don't understand this. This is the core of single leg. But it's hard to do if the leg is very slippery. So that's why I would shift to double leg. I meant in general fight IQ. How much is IQ comes from the fighter? What would happen if GSP went into a fight without you? That's from Salad. Salad, I think it's very important because the coach is extra bandwidth. Okay, so let's say my fighter is fighting, okay? I know what the fighter likes to do in certain situations. I've been watching him spar. We've been drilling. We've been putting up together a game plan. So let's say, I don't know, whatever fighter, okay? George does a knee tap. He's on half guard top, okay? And I could see the guy on the bottom is bridging. And we've practiced that if the guy bridges, we're going to go arm triangle or we're going to slide to the back, let's say, okay? As I see the guy bridging, George, he might be still, maybe he got punched before he got taken down. Maybe he's a little bit tired. So he might recognize the bridge, but there might be a delay, or he might be tired. He might be trying to reach for the bottom arm and he's not noticing that the guy's bridging. So the coach, if the coach is really, really experienced, he'll give him a cue, meaning the bridge is happening. Remember your options. Okay, he's not going to say those words. Okay, so let's say he's bridging. I'll say katakatame or arm triangle, or I'll say slide to the back, slide over, slide over. The coach is reminding you your options. So me, I always tell my fighters, when you're in there, whatever I'm telling you, it's just reminding you of your options. I'm not telling you what to do. Because the thing is, I'm not feeling the guy's energy, his strength, his reach, his grip. You know, I'm not feeling that, because that's important. That's important information to have. Okay, when you're in there, whatever the coach is calling might not feel right. So don't do it. I always tell the students, you know, do whatever feels right. I'm just reminding you your options. And that's what it is. So for instance, let's say they're up against the fence and I see his head is out of position. He might get kneed. I'll call it. I'll say, posture up, knee, watch the knee. Why? Because you're in the fight. Your heart is racing, adrenaline, emotion. You forget things. It's incredible. You forget things. Now, in striking, it's a little bit more sensitive because it's so quick. You cannot tell the guy something. Okay, you can't say, he's throwing a right hand, slip to your right. It's too time sensitive, right? You can't do that. You got to speak in more generalities. They're trading. Certain things are happening. Maybe a fighter circling to the wrong side. Maybe you want to remind him a few attacks that he's hasn't gotten to yet. So maybe, you know, you've been working on like 30 different combinations. He's not throwing a certain one. You think it might make sense in this particular matchup. You remind him. And all that's what a coach is supposed to do. A coach is supposed to know your game plan. He's supposed to know your arsenal. He's supposed to know what you do against certain attacks. And he's there to remind you. Did you guys ever like compete and like maybe remember your first time when you compete? You're like, oh my God, I even forgot how to do armbar. You know, like sometimes students, that happens to them. They draw a blank. Why? Because they're so nervous. Their emotions, their head is cloudy. They're thinking about, oh my God, this is a new environment. I'm feeling very butterflies. I'm like, when I go to practice, I don't feel butterflies like this. How come I'm feeling this way? Well, that's your nerves, right? Because competition day, you're like, hey, that other guy wants to beat me. That fires up a lot of instincts, a lot of emotions. There's a lot of chemicals seeping into your system now. They're getting you ready. Your body's sensing, your mind is sensing a danger, and it's giving you these chemicals. It's giving you this cocktail of chemicals that make you want to fight or run, right? Fight or flight, they say. Well, I feel that can be a good thing, could be a bad thing. One, it makes you feel less pain. It makes you a little bit stronger. It makes you much more alert. You're like, whoa, what's going on here? Like, you're noticing every movement. But also, some people can have a negative reaction where they don't like that feeling and they start obsessing about the feeling, and they're thinking about how they feel inside as opposed to what's going on around them. So I think a coach has got to let you kind of like redirect you to what you need to do. You know, so a coach is extra bandwidth, it's extra brain power. Of course, the athlete has done it many times. He's been through it, but even if you've done it every day, you could still forget. So the coach is like a memory aid. And some coaches are much better than others. In my opinion, I've seen coaches lose the fight for their fighters. They're trying to get their fighter to do something, and the fighter doesn't want to do it, and they just keep... Me, I always tell fighters, if I tell you to do something 3 times and you don't do it, I'm not saying it again. Because that's you telling me it's not there. So I'm going to move on to something else. Like, I let the fighter be the last judge. Usman was tripoded with Khamzat on his back and couldn't choke him out on 10 days notice. That's from Liam Borman. Yeah, that's true. You know, it was a 10 days notice. Liam. Is that Liam? Yeah, Liam. 10 days notice. Kumaro moved up a weight. You know, Kumaro was supposed to be at 170. And Khamzat, you know, is not making 170 no more. He's talking about going back down one day, but I think it's going to be a hard thing to do. Possible, but very difficult. And I'll tell you, he couldn't finish Usman. But I'll tell you something. Usman is very difficult to finish. I've been in the practice room with him, okay? He's very hard to finish. It was still impressive. It was still an impressive fight by both men. It was a very close fight, but I gave all 3 rounds to... Actually, no, excuse me. I gave first and third to Khamzat. I can't remember who I gave the second one to. I watched it recently. I watched it like a week ago. I can't remember. I have to rewatch it again. But it was such a good fight. Duplessis all day. That's from Swag. Swag is calling Duplessis all day. All right, guys. Don't forget, I'm doing super chats and non-super chats. How often does GSP train now? And mostly BJJ. That's from K Loss. Well, I don't want to get too much into it, but he has an injury he's been recovering from. He's been doing his jiu-jitsu and wrestling, and a little bit of striking as well. And I don't want to get too much into it because I don't want to get people fired up. But he's training. He's training. Let's just say he's training. Who did Zahabi pick to win? That's from Starfleet. Starfleet Commander. I picked Khamzat Chimaev. Kill everybody. Hold on. Let me answer that question. Let me answer you that question again. Maybe you didn't hear me loud and clear. For those of you who are not sure who I picked, this is who I picked. I gotta make that my ringtone or my alarm clock in the morning. I love it. I love it. I told you. I'm coming for everybody. Hey, coach, you've got to tell us who do you think GSP is picking for this upcoming main event. He wouldn't tell. That's from Adam. And Adam, no, he's on the fence. He's 50-50. He's like, this is a 50-50 fight. He likes everybody's going to say the same thing. That's why I didn't want to dwell on it in the pre-fight analysis. I wanted to do one because I love this fight, man. I'm so excited about this fight, guys. I can't wait for this fight. Kill everybody. Everybody thinks Khamzat could win early, but if he goes past 3, it seems everybody thinks DDP is going to take over. I think I'm going to go against the grain. I'm telling you guys. I think Khamzat can even win a decision. Nobody's really picking Khamzat for a decision. I'm hoping Khamzat can stay strong all the way till 5 rounds.